Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining our diagnostic training session today. Now, what you're about to see is a pre-recorded training session we did over in the United States. But be assured that a lot of the material that we cover is really applicable to any automotive application. So just be aware that yes, it is a lot of North American vehicles, but a lot of the same principles apply over in the UK as well. Now, if you have any questions, if you're watching this during the premiere, you can just leave it in the chat. We'll be monitoring that. And if you're watching this after the premiere, then just feel free to leave a comment underneath the video, and we'll get to those as we can as well. So my name is Jason Gabrenas. I'm one of Snap-on Diagnostics technical trainers. I've been in the training department since 2013, traveling around North America, helping techs and shop owners get the most out of their diagnostic equipment. Before I did that, it was a couple years as a diagnostic sales rep at Snap-on, so I had a group of about 30 different franchisees I worked with, as well as the shops that they service, in order to help everyone get the most out of their diagnostic needs. Then before I did that, it was 8 years at Subaru, so I worked in a dealership, and over time, I guess, I just became that default diag guy in the shop. So I always ended up having the drivability problems, the intermittent problems, the weird wiring problems that would show up on those cars. And that's really where I cut my diagnostic teeth, was trying to figure out all those weird head scratcher type cars that had come into my bay. Then before that, a bunch of other miscellaneous wrenching jobs. Been a little over 25 years under hood experience for me. So our topic at hand is OEM-specific ADAS training, continuing with our series we've been doing all year. And this week, it is going to be on VW and Audi. We're going to talk about what's different about them, what's the same about them compared to other manufacturers, and how they kind of go about doing things. And I think it's kind of interesting the way they go about it. It's a lot of sameness across the models, which is nice. But we'll get into that as we go through this. So much like most other manufacturers out there nowadays, they use multiple different components for ADAS. So radars, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitor, rear cross traffic alert, cameras for front view, rear view, 360 view, ultrasonic sensors for park assist, and also advanced park assist, parallel park assist, we'll talk about in a little bit. Sensors all over the vehicle. Especially, look at this one in the front here. So this is a Audi A8. And you can see that on this one side, we got a couple ultrasonic sensors, radars in the front too. That's long range radar, that's corner radar, got another corner radar there, distance radar there. And then in the middle here, however, we have a laser scanner actually. So very few vehicles out there that I've been able to find use lasers. Most of them use cameras and radars. They don't really get into the laser much. And really, as far as I know, there's only one or two models that Audi has that uses this laser scanner. But it's there, and it's been since about 2018 model year. So a little closer look at it. We got a laser that shoots out. We got a mirror that spins, and then it ejects this laser beam array. And then as it bounces back, it's going to bounce off the sensor. And it is going to judge distance. It's able to map what's around it a lot higher resolution than, say, a camera or a radar would. So they do use those on a couple models, and they do have to be calibrated. Luckily, it's not too much more difficult than calibrating a radar, or a camera. So not too bad. And speaking of calibrations, Volkswagen, as far as I can tell, really doesn't use many different targets. They use a target for a purpose, but they all pretty much have this same rig that they use. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but you got just replace the boards or add on any targets that might be necessary for whatever particular item you're recalibrating. But pretty much most models use just this one rig with various accessories mounted to it. So that's kind of nice, other than some other manufacturers where it's like, oh, we have these three targets, and for this year it's this size, and this year it's this size. And we use multiple different ways of doing cameras, and we do multiple different ways of redoing radars. So Volkswagen, at least it seems like they keep it simple, right? It's going to be the same procedure across the board. It's going to use the same equipment. Guess it saves them money anyways for the dealership, right? But anyways, I thought that was kind of interesting because it's very unitized across the board. So the first vehicle we're going to dive into is a 2014 Jetta, and as you might suspect, being a 2014, it does not have a whole lot of stuff on it as far as ADAS is concerned. It's got two cameras. It's got one in the front, one in the back. The one in the front isn't even used for any sort of ADAS, lane departure, or seeing other vehicles on the road or anything. It is a rain sensor, actually. So it is when it sees rain on the windshield. Oh, it's raining. Let's turn on the wipers, that sort of thing. It does have 8 ultrasonic sensors, so it does have both front and rear park assist. So that's nice. And then, of course, the rear camera is the rear camera for backup. So here's the front camera. It just kind of mounts to the windshield, as you can see. It's got a little cover there. Mirror would be up there, and it just sits up on the windshield and sees, is there water there? Basically, what its job is to do. No recalibration for that. Rear camera, same deal. No recalibration. It's just kind of plug and play. It goes in the rear deck right there, up above the license plate, as you normally would see. No calibration needed for that. Some manufacturers do have rear camera calibrations that need to be done, but in this case, it does not. And then we have the park sensors, which are going to be your standard issue parking sensors that clip into the bumper and emit ultrasonic high-frequency sound, and see if it bounces back and judges distance. Once again, on that one, plug and play, no recalibration needed either. So, doing pretty good so far. Then we get to a 2018 Audi Q5, so our Audi of the bunch. And this one is considerably more robust in its equipment. So it has 3 radar units, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitor, rear cross traffic alert. So 2 in the back, 1 in the front. It's got 5 cameras. Front view camera up in the windshield, which does more than monitor for rain. Rear view camera, and of course 360 view camera around the outside. And there's 12 ultrasonic sensors on this vehicle. So there's 4 in the front, 4 in the back, and then there's 1 on each fender as you go around. And that is used for parallel park assist or parallel park assist advanced, I believe it is. We'll talk about it in a second. So here's your front camera. In this case, they're saying there's a protective layer over it, so you need to remove it before you install it. That's what's showing there, that blue thing, but it just kind of mounts up on the windshield there. And then the calibrated, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can either do it with a complete alignment, where you have to actually do an alignment as well, which they can use that rack for to do an alignment, or you're doing just the recalibration and adjustment for the unit on the front camera. So there's what that would look like. Looks like they're getting ready to do the alignment because they got the reflectors on the wheels. And then here's your camera scan tool use. This test program, the following steps are run through: calibration of front camera for driver assistance systems. You need to have the ignition on. You need to have the video target configured as per the workshop manual, or use a snap-on ADAS system like a TruePoint. So that's that target right there. Calibration of the front camera for driver assistance systems is necessary when the control unit's been replaced, the windscreen has been removed and reinstalled or replaced, changes or settings are made that are running gear, and the fault memory entry is in the front camera for driver assist system. No incorrect basic settings or adaptations. So everything needs to be running properly. And then it's going to say, do you want to start the calibration? If the control unit is new, it must be coded and adapted beforehand. All event memory is not relating to the calibration, must have been processed. So you can say, yeah, I'm good to go. To be able to start calibrating the front camera for driver assistance systems, the video target must be set up as a workshop manual. They are warning you multiple times, make sure that thing is set up, because I believe it wipes out all the settings as soon as you say go. So they're giving you plenty of time to back out. Oh, maybe I don't quite have it set up right. Also, it says in this case, some of the functionality requires the correct date to be programmed in the controller before changes are saved. So you just see what the date is, confirm it, or change it. Then you're going to measure the vehicle body height at the center of the front left wheel housing, and then you're going to go around the vehicle and do the same all the way around. So in this case, so if I saw 608 millimeters, I'd plug in 608 millimeters. So I can go in there, plug in a value, hit continue, and then it'll program it in. So height front left, 600 millimeters. Is that okay? Sure. And then you just go all the way around the vehicle, and then it'll repeat back what you programmed in there. And then you can continue on with the rest. My simulator won't go past this because it's not hooked up to a car. It has to be hooked up to a car to go further, but that's pretty much as far as you would get. And then you would just follow the instructions on the screen, and it should be able to calibrate. Front radar. So that's kind of down in the fog light area in this case. And you can kind of see it in the picture, not that well, but it's in the corner there. And this is the control module for adaptive cruise control calibration. Engine needs to be stopped. And refer to the repair manual. Once again, it's going to tell you how to set up that rig or set up the reflector for the radar beam. And this was interesting, I note in here too. So we need to open and close the hood before we proceed. That's just one of the steps. The hood must be opened and closed once for the calibration. Ignition may not be switched between closing the hood and starting the calibration. Are the test requirements met? Yes. So you got to open and close the hood. There's also an option for dynamic calibration. It should take no longer than 10 minutes maximum. Only perform the dynamic calibration under safe conditions while observing all traffic regulations. During calibration, the radar sensor trains its detection during a calibration drive using the surrounding driving environments. Following conditions can shorten the calibration drive. First off, drive a moderate distance for a short time, like 30 to 50 meters. Then drive at speeds over 30 miles an hour or 50 kilometers an hour for a while until calibration is successful, and we'll tell you. Start the car and let it idle. Turn on the car menu in the infotainment display. In the car menu vehicle status, you can determine the current calibration status. As soon as the display front assist not available disappears, calibration is then complete. That's how you know. At this point, return home. Be aware that after calibration procedure has been initialized, the diagnostic tool need not be referred to. So in other words, I can just kind of put it in this mode and drive the vehicle. Don't need to look at it again. With that in mind, place the diagnostic tool in a secure area so it does not represent a hazard. After continuing from this screen, calibration function will start. And then it'll go and it'll start the routine. And then we need to drive the vehicle. On the static calibration, you would have to follow the OEM repair procedure to set up the targets or the target and do it that way. Rear radar, it's going to be a radar unit on each corner in the back, mounted kind of their bumper there. And then also has the alert arrows on the insides of the mirrors. So once again, please adhere to proper workshop safety precautions when undertaking this procedure. Make sure you read and follow all the instructions. This function will calibrate the lane change assist function. So lane change assist is what they call their blind spot radar. No DTC stored except for no default setting. Ignition on. Refer to instructions as per workshop manual or ADAS for calibration system. And then you would follow the instructions. You would set it up where it needs to go. Hit yes to proceed. Once again, refer to the workshop manual to replacement of the Doppler calibrator. So that'd be the target for that. We put it where it needs to go, and then it's going to go. Switch off the ignition for 10 seconds, and then hit OK. It'll count down. Turn the ignition on. You just basically cycle the ignition once it's done, and then it'll be complete. 360 camera. Not always do you need a target, but in this case on this are for Volkswagens and Audis, you do. So there's big mats you put on the floor and put it in this way. And there's certain distances that you need to measure. And there's a couple different style of mat, I guess, that go in the correct place. Put them around the vehicle. And then you go into your scan tool and click Calibrate Peripheral Camera. And then the following steps are performed in this test program. The peripheral camera control module is to be calibrated. So that's a 360 camera. That's what they call that, peripheral camera. Ignition on, vehicle parked on level ground, rear lid and doors closed, mirror and folded out normal position, and camera display active. So you need to have it activated on the center display. Battery maintainer connected because this may take a little while and you don't want the battery voltage to go too low. It can be quite the draw with having everything on, especially the video. Chassis in normal position. Required resources are refer to your workshop manual or use an ADAS recalibration system. Clean the lenses, check for proper mounting of the cameras. Calibration is not possible without the correct tools and instructions. Once again, they're warning you again. And then it's going to go through and readapt, and it'll tell you on the screen the status of what's going on. Park assist, in this case, nothing fancy going on. They're just ultrasonic sensors and no calibration needed. However, there's also parallel park assist and park assist plus, they call it. It's the other one. So one does... So parallel park assist does just parallel parking. Park assist plus does parallel or perpendicular parking. And it uses the ultrasonic sensors to find an open parking spot. So it's able to kind of map roughly where it is. So you say, okay, I found a parking spot. And then you would tap on it and say, all right, it's on the right-hand side of the vehicle. And you put on your turn signal. And basically, you're going to tell it where do you want to go. Do I want to back in or do I want to go in head first? And then take your hands off the steering wheel, apply the brakes, and press and hold the button on the dash that's for the advanced parking, and then it'll do the rest. And then here's just another example of it doing parallel parking. So a lot of their models have this on there now. Once again, no calibration really needed for it. It's just a extra feature that's enabled due to having those ultrasonic sensors on the corners. Then we get to our newest one, a 2023 Tiguan. And you would think it would be way more well equipped than the Audi, but it's actually pretty much the same. It's got 3 radars, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitor, rear cross traffic alert, 5 cameras around for front view, rear view 360, and 12 ultrasonic sensors again, once again for the parallel park and the park assist. So front cameras up there. And by the way, I'm not going to walk through the scanner functions on this one again because it's exactly the same as the Audi. They all use the same targets. They all use pretty much the same procedure, depending on the year, of course. But by and large, it's going to be pretty much the same. So I'd just be repeating slides. So there's no real necessity to put you through that. So front camera, 360 camera in the mirrors. Front radar on this one is going to be behind the VW logo in the grille. So kind of like right there. And I don't know if you've noticed. I know I've mentioned it a few times this year throughout these courses, but I don't know if you've noticed walking around parking lots lately, and you look at a vehicle with a big old badge on the front, like a Volkswagen or a Mercedes or something like that, and you'll notice it's like a transparent or like a smoked, but still like translucent, because they can't be too thick to block the radar. So if you had a solid piece of plastic there, it would block the radar more than having this where the beam can kind of get through. Not that it's a visual thing, but they're thinner to allow that. Now you have to watch out if there's ever, for example, somebody brings you in a truck and they modified the grill on the truck. They put an aftermarket grill on there, and then all of a sudden stuff stops working. That could be why. There's tons and tons of cases where that happens. You put a non-OEM part on, even if it's just a straight replacement, right? But non-OEM part might not be made to the same specifications, so might not work properly. These are the things you need to take into consideration. So yeah, it's right behind the emblem there. Rear radar is mounted to the body there in the back, shooting off the corners. There's the bumper beam, right? And then park assist is going to be the clip-in style, clips into the bumpers. But one reason I did want to mention this Tiguan is some of your newer Volkswagens and Audis now will require an unlock procedure. They call it SFD, so it's for their secured functions. Now, they do it differently than, say, like Stellantis, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. You have to unlock the entire car before you can even get in there and do anything. Won't let you do anything until you unlock it. Volkswagen and Audi do it is they have these, they call them tokens. So that's an SFD token. And it is at the functional test level is where this is. So you can do a lot of stuff in the car until it comes up to one spot where, say I want to do a functional test, and then it'll come up with a screen that says, hey, enter in your profile access code. So profile access code is something that we have implemented at Snap-on in order to take care of this. Other tool manufacturers, other aftermarket diagnostic tool manufacturers will have you pay for those tokens. And right now it's like $15 a token, or I think you can do a full year for $199 or unlimited VIN. So it's a token per VIN and unlocks it for 90 minutes. In our case, we include that. It's included, complimentary, as you want to say. We cover the cost of the tokens basically through Volkswagen. So you don't have to do anything extra. All you have to do is, as long as your tool is connected to your Snap-on profile, which it probably should be because you can't do any of the security stuff on any vehicle unless it's in there. Then in that profile, you have a little spot to plug in a profile access code. It can be any 4 digits, doesn't matter. As long as it matches, it's got to be numbers though. It can't be letters, but it has to be 4 digits. So as long as you type in here what is up on the website, it'll match. Basically, it's trying to verify that you are you and you're using the tool. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. I'll show you what that looks like in real life. So a couple other things we'll need to talk about with that. So let's go live. Take a look at a couple of these vehicles. So we'll go into the, Jetta doesn't have any reprogramming to do anyways, or relearns or resets. So we'll go into the Audi. And when we go into the Audi, nice thing that Volkswagen and Audi do And there's a few other manufacturers that do this as well, but Volkswagen and Audi for sure. So it says, for your convenience, your scan tool has interrogated the vehicle and has acquired the list of actual systems fitted. Continue now to view the installed list or exit if a generic full system list is preferred. So on a real live car, it would ping the modules, come back with only the ones that are fitted on the vehicle. However, in this case, I'm in simulator mode. So if I hit continue, I'm going to get a very small list because I'm not plugged into anything. So I'll just hit exit for the full list. And then we come in here and you're going to see, like I said, because we're in the simulator and we have the full list, you're going to see things that are like the laser scanner. This Audi does not have this laser scanner. But if I did say, lane change assistant, I can go in there and there's all these different variants that show up. Could be. You don't have to choose them. The tool would do it for you depending on what car you're hooked up to. And then I go into special functions. I go into calibration, and it's going to tell you how to walk through it to calibrate it. Lane change assist function. Refer to instructions. Proceed. Refer to instructions again. Go through. Then it'll shoot the radar. Takes like 10 seconds, I think. Okay, switch the ignition on. According to the calibrator, it's been set up in the workshop manual. Hit continue. Move calibrator to the right side. Make sure the correct measurements are there. And then it calibrates it. Okay, so it's a 10-second key cycle before, actually, sorry. And then it'll just it's going to hang up in here because I'm not hooked up to a car, so I'm going to abort. Okay. And let's go into repair information quick. So if I wanted to go through this and look at, say, it comes up there. Say I wanted to do like the front camera. And how would I calibrate that? So I can go into calibration. Like we said, you can do a complete alignment with wheel alignment or just a basic calibration or adjustment. And then it's going to come in here. It's going to tell you how to set up the board and all that, right? We looked at that a little bit earlier. So here's setting up their alignment reflectors. Also, like I said, let's see, John Bean aligner. There we go. VAS 6430, right? So if I were to look this up, and then that's your basic set. So that's your basic unit. Notice it brings you to a Snap-on site because our Snap-on Business Solutions portion of our company works with dealerships for special tools. Now, we don't make the tools for them, but we help them with distribution. So in this case, you would be getting it from Volkswagen, but we would provide the fulfillment, basically. So there's your basic setting device, $5,300 lists. Dealer pricing, you'd have to be a dealer, of course. And then there's the deal, right? So this is all their specialty tools. We go the driver's assist. See all the different things. There's a calibration board for the laser scanner, right? That's $4,900 just for the board. That's kind of crazy if you think about it, but yeah, it's a dealership tool. That's how it is. All right. So $4,900. Calibration board, mounting, wall bracket, cover, set of assembly and operating instructions, and you still need the other $5,000 thing. So if you were only working on Volkswagens, it'd probably be okay to get by with what you need. But having one thing that'll do multiple vehicles is probably preferable, I would think. But yeah, there's the basic machine there. All right, and then let's go into the Tiguan because we want to look at SFD stuff. Okay, once again, we can do a full list. And then you'll see it lists less stuff. because there aren't as many variables now on the newer vehicles, but it's still, for adaptive cruise control, lane change, park assist, backup camera, etc. Now, if I go into any of these, it might say, I don't know if it says, let's see. Just gotta pick one. Yeah, so some systems, they require access to manufacturer secure diagnostic requests, but in the simulator, it doesn't give me the login screen. So in order to do that, I have to, it's going to say it's unlocked, right? So I have to go into engine to get this prompt to come up. So I'll go into engine, pick my variant. So once again, I can get in here. I can do codes. I can do clear codes, data, etc. It's just when you get to the functional test, they don't want you to mess around with functional tests. So I go into functional tests, I go into special functions, and there we go. It's secured. And there we are. Enter your profile access code. So I'm going to put the wrong one in. And it's going to say, oh, invalid, 4 attempts remaining on this vehicle. Okay, so let's put the right one in and see what happens. It's unlocked. It's going to give you a second. There we go. And then I'm able to go into the menu and get stuff done that I need to do. Now, when you do leave, though, it's going to unlock it for 90 minutes. And then after 90 minutes, it'll lock itself back up, and then you have to go back in again. But once again, you don't have to pay anything. You just have to type in this code, which you know what the code is because you made the code. And if you don't remember what the code is, you can go back to your profile and punch in a new code, and then just remember for that time. It's going to say the controller is still unlocked with however many minutes are remaining in the 90-minute countdown. Do you wish to leave the controller open or lock it? Leaving it unlocked will set a code until it locks. So if you leave it unlocked, just be aware you will get a B code saying that its activation is active. So don't get fooled by that, or just lock the controller on your way out. You don't have to worry about it. All right, so that is Volkswagen. ADAS related anyways. And with that, that's our time here today. So make sure you tune in for new diagnostic content every week. We'll be premiering a new video every Wednesday at 7 p.m. UK time, so make sure to check it out here on our YouTube channel. Please make sure you also subscribe, thumbs up, and ring that little notification bell so you'll know anytime we post new content. With that, time for questions. Now, if you have any questions, once again, if you're watching this on the premiere, just leave it in the live chat and we'll do our best to answer those. Otherwise, leave a comment under the video and we'll get to those as we monitor those comments as well. So I'd like to thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day to learning a little bit more about how you might be able to be more efficient at diagnosing vehicles using some of the information that we've been giving you today. Hopefully we'll see you next week, and we'll see you on any of our other videos. Have a good week, have a good night, and take care.